success in on-ground work can be defined in multiple ways. It could be a change in outcomes. It could be a change in the implementation process where that process becomes more cognizant of how norms will affect implementation. It could be defined as a change in attitudes or perceptions or aspirations of individuals, where the shift is actually based on a value system that is more attuned to human rights or has its roots in the rights-based approach. I think the only difference between success in the social norm space and any other outcome or any other space is that the success cannot be defined at a marginal level in the space. It has to be defined at a more collective level. When I think about the work that ID Insight is doing in this space, I think we're doing fascinating work in terms of measurement or survey design that captures the complexities of norms and how they affect different stakeholders. So I think some of our work has tried to look at measuring some preferences in the community. And then basically the central challenge here was to elicit true preference or true belief amongst the respondents. Another aspect of our work basically concerns the portion of the answer. There, for example, we found that the mother-in-laws actually are extremely important, and they influence the feeding practices adopted by the households a lot. So basically, there are projects that try and tailor recommendations around such existing norms. I think when I specifically think about success in this space, I think one project that I would specifically like to focus on is the project that looked at female genital cutting in 5 countries in Africa. And we found that even 3 years after the program intervention, the program villages had a more liberal perspective towards this practice. And it wasn't the case that the authority structures had changed in those villages or in those communities. The authority structures were pretty much intact. But what shifted was the attitude of the persons in authority, which allowed for discussions on abandonment of this practice. And I think something like that is a big success. Apart from that, I think currently we are working on how gender norms affects women's advancement to leadership positions in organizations in 4 countries. And apart from that, I think we have kind of produced a set of guidelines, which we are calling a gender lens framework. So what this framework does is that it produces step-by-step guidelines for how projects in different sectors can actually integrate gender lens or incorporate gender lens into their thought process. This basically involves thinking about access or usage difference across people on the gender spectrum. This involves thinking about how program impact will differ based on your identity, and also the flip side. So whether the program has the potential to change gender relations and whether those changes are actually desirable from an equity perspective. I think this is very important to think about, like where your project lies. Does it maintain the status quo? Does it worsen the status quo? Is it gender blind? Is it gender equal? Is it gender transformative? Is it gender sensitive?